Hey guys, give me 1 second. Hello. Okay. Hi, good evening. Still rocking my hair. I'm gonna wait for a few people to get in tonight. This is a really, really sensitive subject. And yes, my name is Sabrina Ashley. I go by the moniker of the Confidence Curator. And I am a personal development architect, self love educator, and I sprinkle fairy dust, self love fairy dust, my apologies, on melanated millennials. And I educate in confidence creation in the areas of sexuality, spirituality, and self esteem. And to find out more information about me, you can go on sabrinaashley.com and or visit me and follow me on Instagram at the same name. House rules, this is the Love Lounge, so I do not tolerate anyone disrespecting anyone. And if you like what you hear and you know that it's vital for you, just tap the screen and give me some self-love. Heart it up if you're feeling okay. And also, don't be afraid to clap the little Perry person over there or hit the ellipsis. Share this information out. I'm really excited and nervous at the same time. Hopefully you guys will be able to interact tonight. My Periscope has been acting up. This is a part of my December to Unremember, where I'm going to try to give as much information, techniques, and tools that I can to help you get through your emotional breakthroughs that may have bound you tongue-tied in 2016, so you can go into 2017 free, fierce, and flawless. So I'm going to get right into it, okay? So this is very, very touchy for me. I don't even know how to begin this. I thought I did. I am a big proponent of black love. I believe that black love matters. I believe that black men are beautiful, and there's a complete system to them that we have yet to really unearth in today's society. And as millennials, those of us in our 20s and 30s, we have so much that we have not been given the opportunity to learn from our foremothers, from our grandmothers. A lot of us grew up in broken homes or may not have had an example of what a true relationship is, one that is equally balanced in communication, one that is equally balanced in trust, one that is equally balanced in honesty and integrity. And so many times in today's relationships, we find that, if we don't like what you're saying, you not my daddy, you're not my mama. I don't have to hear anything. I don't want to hear from you. I can walk out that door just as easily as I walked in. But when you're willing to go the distance and you're willing to be a part of someone's life and you want that person to be a part of your life, there's something more than just the incentive of things. There's something more than the incentive of good sex that keeps us going, that keeps us pushing and striving. And it becomes a barrier, right? Communication. When there's a vulnerability that's not being spoken, when there's a vulnerability that's being released, but it's not being heard, when there's a vulnerability that is there, but you don't know how to communicate with it. And so this is true for me. I actually happen to run across a lot of black men. I used to mentor teenagers in a group setting. I used to be a life skills trainer for at-risk youth. I used to be an at-risk youth. And so the first time that I had ever heard of someone just openly coming to me and telling me that they had been sexually assaulted, not just sexually assaulted, but raped. I was 22, and there was a 17-year-old varsity football player, all-star football player in his high school. He had a full scholarship to a certain university, and he was on his way. And from the outside looking in, everything just looked super, super fine. Like, he just seemed to be super, super all-star everything. I mean, he worked hard to get his grades up. He worked hard to earn his scholarships and all of that, but he just didn't seem to have any issues. And then he says to me, after hearing my story, he goes, well, what do I do? And he used some strong language, but he said, what the F do I do when I've been raped? Like when some mother effer, you know what I mean? He said all his expletives, but when somebody took away my innocence, what do I do? And I was stunned. I was shocked. I was really taken aback. I let him just share himself with me, and that was that. And then fast forward to, as I would go through life's matriculation of being in my 20s, I have an ex with whom I I had to really get down to the core of who he was, because his attitude wasn't right with me, and I knew that there was something that just wasn't right. And one night we were laying in the bed and I don't know, I just had a very spiritual inkling, and I said to him, something's not right, you need to talk to me. So long story short, after soothing conversation, after all of that, he revealed to me that he had been sexually abused, sexually assaulted, and that he had been through a lot of incest. A lot of incest. And he told me all about it. And as soon as he told me about it, he just broke down and started crying. Like, when I tell you crying, I mean crying like a baby that was just born into this cold world, detached from his mother. Like, it was the most heartbreaking cry, gut-wrenching cry I've ever heard in my entire life. And I didn't know what to do then, but then I developed an awareness on what to do, on how to speak to him. And I realized that it takes a very, very, very strong woman, a very strong woman, to build up a broken man. It really takes a very positive, focused woman, a woman that knows who she is and knows what value that she brings and offers, and just will not leave because she hears information that she may not have expected to hear in that relationship. And so as a result, after some conversations that I've had this week, it's come up again, and another man has told me that he was sexually abused. And so I wanted to offer you just three ways that you can find out, that you can pay attention to, if your black man especially, has been sexually abused. I'm going to give one attribute for a spiritual dimension, a physical dimension, and an emotional dimension. So the first way to find out that your man has been sexually abused is on the emotional frontier. And that is if you're finding that you're being physical with them, they don't want to be fully nude. They don't like vulnerable caressing or emotional caressing. They don't like you always touching their shoulders or the back of their arms, or they don't like you touching the center part of their back, because for them that's a trigger that they never got to deal with. And so if you find yourself during like love making or having sex, and you're like, just be real with me, just get naked, we're naked, why don't you just get naked with me? And he's like, I'm not here for that. I love you, I care about you, I'm not all about that. That's a sign that perhaps he has some unresolved issues with whatever has taken place, whether he himself has been in an incestuous relationship, or whether he has been sexually abused. And this isn't funny. I'm sorry. I just can't believe I'm so tongue-tied right now. Like, I really wanted to give this like a very serious tone, but it's just not working right now. So the second way that you can find out is on the physical frontier. And that's if they have physical reactions to emotional discussions or disagreements. So if you find that, I'm not going to say that all sexually abused men are into domestic violence, and I'm not going to say that all men that participate or initiate actions of domestic violence have been sexually abused. But most of the time, if you're having a conversation, if you're having a discussion where you're getting more on the vulnerable side, you're pressing more into emotional issues and questions that you're asking, not only concerning the two of you, or what happened between he and his past lovers, but if you start bringing up his childhood issues and he's like, I don't want to talk about that, but there wasn't any abuse, like physical abuse in the house. Maybe you're cognizant that his mother doesn't know anything that has gone on. I want to tell you, this has happened to me. Like, one of my exes who was sexually abused, he just had this thing where he would like throw things when we would start talking about real emotional, sensitive, information in regards to his sex life, his sexual behaviors, his sexual relationships. When I would ask him, details about what his experiences were spiritually, what I would ask him, what he would feel, how his senses would arise during sex, and what that connection meant to him mentally. And when I began to ask him questions like that, first of all, I knew no one asked him questions like that. But when I began to ask questions like that, he began to get angry. Like, it was a rage that started to just infuriate his eyes. Like, from the pit of his soul, there was always something on the inside of him that was angry. Whenever I wanted to just know, how do you feel when I touch you like this? What does that do for you? How do you translate this behavior of me wanting to be vulnerable with you? And do you like vulnerability? And why don't you like vulnerability? And so that's the second thing. If he's having a physical reaction to emotional discussions, just a discussion. I'm not asking you to be all up under his neck, under his arm. Baby, let's just cuddle. You can tell me anything. You can tell me anything because I love you and I'm your boo and I'm always here. Like, that's not how that works. Like, there's a lot of coddling that has to go along with it. A lot of cuddling. You have to show your man, honestly, to get this type of information. You have to show him that you are presently there for him when he needs you emotionally. And sometimes when you just want to be a baby and you just want to be babied and you want to be the one that's being spoiled, you have to sometimes kind of G up a little bit, like man up, and say, you know what, baby, let me take care of you right now. Is there anything that you want to talk about? What's going on in your heart right now? And it doesn't have to lead to this question, but when you start to ask questions like that and you follow up with that questions or those questions with your behavior that shows like, I'm going to be here for you, I'm not going to tell our business, I would never betray you, in that way, then he will start to reveal his heart to you. Then he will start to be, that ideal man that can talk to you about anything. But you have to learn how to look for the signs. And so the third way to tell if your man has been sexually abused, and these are just three, like I said, is spiritually. His spiritual identity is inaccessible, right? So Western civilization teaches us that the order of mankind, humanity is from body, mind to spirit. But those of us who have an indigenous culture and an indigenous upbringing know that the true order of man is spirit, mind, and body, right? And so anything that happens to anyone is from the inside out. And if you are finding out that his spiritual identity is inaccessible, and the only way that you can really pick this up in the regards of this conversation is if you guys are having sex and you're spiritually sensitive and you're spiritually aware, in tune, you're conscious or whatever have you, you can pick up, if your man has some type of blockage in him from his chakras. You can tell by his aggression when you have sex, if it's always rough, if it's always like pounding. And I'm not trying to be explicit, but I'm saying if it's always rough, and I mean, y'all, even if y'all have been together for like years, like this is just no flyby, one night stand. If you've been with this person for months and months and months, years and years and years, you shouldn't always be having rough sex, right? But that's a sign, that's symbolic of him adjusting his behavior and his attitude to his broken spirit, to the dissonance in his spirit. So you've got to be sensitive and clearing in your femininity, the whole of who you are. And when you pick that up, like, you have to learn how to make love to his soul and not just his penis. You have to learn that when you're having sex with him, you are picking up the receptor of his entire being. right? And that his penis carries information that's being lodged into your womb. And so if you're not careful, if you're not conscious, if you're not cautious with how you are in tune with him, you're going to miss vital information that can really propel you all to a next level of living in love, in your bliss. You know what I mean? And you are the healer. Your vagina, your womb is a generator. Your womb is a healing connector. You know what I mean? There's so much that happens on the inside of who we are. And you've got to pick up, baby, what's going on? What's wrong with you? What are you doing on the inside of you? Because I feel it. I hear it. I see it in you. I know there's something that you're withholding from me. And I just want you to know I'm here. I just want you to know that I have your back. I just want you to know that I love you. I just want you to know that I'm here constantly, whenever, forever. I'm not leaving you. I'm your friend forever. And if that's something that you can't commit to, especially if you want a long-lasting relationship, then maybe you should just kind of cut your ties. Because that's something that when a man opens that up, he's going to need you to help him raise the standard of who he is. He's going to need you to help him raise the standard of his masculinity, right? Because he's broken on the inside. He's lashing out at you and on you because he is confused at how to be comfortable with being sexually free, sexually open, and sexually aware. Now, I'm saying all these sexual terms because when you are free on the inside of your spirit, right, you are free to all of the world. You are free to the cares. You are free to, opinions. You are free to the mindset, to your God conscious. And that's what I'm telling you. I want you to help him heal. And so if you're going to help him heal, and if you want to know why there's information that he's withholding from you, if you want to know why he doesn't cuddle you or why he doesn't let you touch him in a certain place or a certain regard, or if you want to know why he doesn't like sleeping in the dark, if you want to know, why he would rather get dressed right after sex and, not even cuddle you, those are signs. You know what I mean? And I want you to have a great relationship. I want you to have a healthy relationship. So emotionally, if he doesn't want to be nude, or if he's always vulnerable to your touching, I'm sorry, that's probably physical, wouldn't it? Well, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. If he's always embarrassed by sexual things, sexual nature, or he's too aggressive during sex, that's a sign. If he's always having a physical reaction, and he doesn't always have to hit you or touch you, he could be just throwing things. And if he's always mad and always holding aggression towards you when you bring up sensitive subjects, when he can pick up that you want to go deeper in your relationship, but he always is getting angry. Like, sir, there was no reason for that. There was no reason for you to get that mad. What do you want to talk about? Sometimes you have to say, what do you want to talk about? Because there is obviously something on in your mind that I'm not aware of, and I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I actually have a bonus one, actually. If he fears your authority and becomes childlike, if he sees or senses that you're a strong woman, and there's something that becomes infantile about him, or real boyish, like real elementary, like ages 5 to 10 years old, and you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? He has some unresolved issues with feminine principles, and you have to be the one, for the better good, for the greater good of you all, or just for the greater good of humanity. Even maybe this is your gift through God. Maybe God is using you to help him heal. Maybe God is saying, you know what? You have what it takes. You have the strength. You have the prayer life to heal yourself. So I need you to go over here, talk to this man for me, handle this, and let's grow on. Maybe that's why you're together. And I had to learn that with my ex. I really think with my ex that there were certain things that I was just there to heal. We were making like lifelong decisions, possibly getting married, all of that. But at the end of the day, I was only there to help him heal. And so I realized that when we had this discussion, when he furthered this discussion with me about his sexual, his incest or whatever have you, when he furthered that discussion with me, I realized that I was there to heal. And when I realized that I had a certain authority over him, I realized that we probably shouldn't be together, but that there's some work that needs to be done. You know what I mean? And there are some secrets that have to be healed and spoken. And I didn't want him to ever not know that a woman loves him. You know what I mean? Because he had been abused, like deeply. Not just, raped and not just molested, but physically abused and verbally abused. And so I thank God that I can say that I love him on a completely different level. I got to experience his soul, his mind, and we will always be connected because now I have information that he transmitted to me. I have information that he blessed me with. That really was a part of his soul, that is a part of his soul, and it's a part of his story. And I took it upon myself to help him alleviate from the grunges of that. And it was really empowering, and it was really a blessing, and it was really humbling. And so, having had that discussion again this week, it really this past weekend, really put me in a humbling position. It really put me in a very grace-led position. And I was like, I have to tell my sisters about this. I have to, some of us, because you're man, he's going to tell you things. And some of y'all, you talk too much. And so he won't be able to trust you. Some of y'all, you start spreading too much information. And he knows that he can't trust you as far as he could throw you. You know what I mean? If you want to know those deep secrets of your man, you have to be there. You know what I mean? You have to go in the dark where he is. You have to be present in his midnight hour where he is. It's not fair to always, require a man be our knight in shining armor and we don't show up, just as protected, ready to fight, ready to slay, ready to get all up in the dark, deep mess with him. It's not fair to always assume that a man is perfectly whole and waiting for you. Sometimes your dream man is someone you have to build. That's someone you have to build and pray with and understand, and have compassion and know that, he doesn't have the upbringing of values that you may have had. He didn't have, a systematic view of how a relationship is. And maybe he cannot communicate with you in the language that you would like, but, he has a good heart. And I would rather take a good man with a good heart who needs just a little bit of push that I wouldn't mind providing than someone who seems like the total package and won't pay me the time of day, won't respect me, won't claim me in person. You know what I mean? I would rather have somebody that all they need is to know somebody else is riding with them. Right? And isn't that what black love is about? Isn't that what black love defines? Is that no matter what we go through, no matter how broken we've been, no matter how broken we are, we're always going to ride this out together. We're always going to do this together. And I'm always going to be here. And no one's going to stop me. I'm not even going to let you stop me. This is what you have to say to him. You're not even going to stop me. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, it hurts. I know you're probably ashamed. I know you wish, it didn't happen to you. But it happened. And we're going to make something great out of this. And our love is going to be more blissful, abundant, bountiful because of this. There's so much integrity in what I see in you. And I'm not going to let this little misdemeanor, this little malpractice of victimization, attack who we are and attack the potential that you have. And so if black love is meaningful for you and meaningful to you, these are questions that you have to ask, right? This is stuff you have to get through. This is not a comfortable discussion. This is not a pleasant topic to talk about. And, it doesn't always mean that you're always going to be happy afterwards. Because let me tell you something. If you can get through all of these 3 little questions or cues or whatever have you, you can expect that there's going to be a little bit more moodiness, a little bit more erratic behavior, a little bit more anger on his side because he's exposed himself. And in order to retreat in fear, in order to retreat back into the darkness because of a shame or a guilt level, he's going to act out. And that's okay. That's okay. Because we know when you act out in, cries for help, when you act out, in a tantrum because you want attention, but you don't want to be touched, you will be fine. You will be fine. And after you have your moment, you tell him, baby, after you have your moment, I will still be right here. I'm still going to be standing with you, strong with you. And, even if it doesn't work out, even if you guys don't last long, just be like, I have your secrets forever. And they are always going to be mine. I would never put you in a position to be hurt, exploited, for this moment to be vandalized and spoken of again. That's not what this is. And it was just really on my heart. I hope that, I'm sorry that I got a little tongue twisted in the beginning. I don't know what that was about. I had some cranberry juice. Maybe that was it. But I just wanted to open the discussion. You know what I mean? To open that alley. Because there are blockages in our men, in our black men. You know what I mean? There are real aggression issues and anger issues that don't just stem from maybe not having a father in the home, that maybe, don't just stem from anger or jealousy of your mother. Like, they go through things and they're hiding things. And it's not fair to them to keep that secret. And it's not fair to you to not know the whole of who you are with. So I just wanted to encourage you, ladies, to, if you find that you are in a relationship with a man who is not as emotionally healthy or emotionally sound as you would like him to be, or you notice that there are some things that seem a little bit off in your intimate time, in your intimate communication, that perhaps, you should elect the idea. I mean, you could just come out and ask him, like, have you been sexually abused? I'm going to tell you right now, a black man is just not going to, unless he's just like, F it, yeah. He's not just going to say, yeah, that happened to me. Can we talk about it? Can you get some Kleenex? That's not always the case. And so when that happens, just be mindful. How does he touch you? How does he touch himself? How is he receptive of the love that you give in an unspoken language, your nonverbal communication? How does he receive that? And how does he not only receive that and internalize it, but how does he give it back? Does he do it with sensitivity? Does he do it with timidity? Does he do it with anger? Does he do it with aggression? These are cues that you can pick up, and always be mindful of his emotional, physical, spiritual well-being. And I hope that you can learn to love him not only reflectively, but respectively, because not only do Black lives matter, all lives matter, yes, we know, but Black love matters, and I'm all about Black love, and I'm all about the nourishment of our culture. I'm all about the preservation of our people. I'm all about, being as free as we can. And we can't move forward together if there's one of us that has fallen down. You know what I mean? So just talk to him, love him, be mindful, be that strong woman that I know you are. Be that spiritual woman that I know you are. Don't have this discussion with everybody. I would say get a prayer advisor or maybe your mother. And, this is something that really doesn't go outside of you and your relationship. And just continue to invest love, discipline love. You know what I mean? I'm not saying let him run over you. Let him know that there's order and correctness. Now, hold up, bruh. I'm with you. And I know you're hurting, but you're not going to speak to me like that. I'm going to walk you through this in love, with peace, with prayer, and you're going to be stronger because of this, and you're going to be healed. And my love is going to do it. So that's all I have. I think tomorrow I'll come back with some solutions on how we can combat these 3 ways that you can tell that your man has been sexually abused. My name is Sabrina Ashley. I go by the Confidence Curator. You can find me on Instagram at the same handle, at Confidence Curator. You can go to Sabrina Ashley to find out a little bit more about me, who I am, what I do, what I believe. It is my goal to let you know that I love you, but none of that matters if you don't learn how to love yourself. So I teach you techniques and tools by sharing my story on how to get through your emotional dysfunctions and find your emotional clarity so that you can be strong, fierce, and fearless. I love you, and I hope that you learn how to love yourself. Please love somebody else. And if your man is in desperation or in need of some physical tender care or deep conversation, let him know that tonight and tomorrow night and for as ever long as he needs you, that you always have his back and you are always by his side. Take care.